History of NFT 2017 to 2021 and how it works. NFTs are one of the most essential and promising tokenization methods. It is not, however, a novel concept in the vacuum. The first NFTs were colored coins, designed to differentiate some Bitcoins from others, rendering them non-fungible. The feature enabled connected parties to accept that particular timestamp Bitcoins had a value distinct from fungible Bitcoins. These Bitcoins then have unique properties backed by either an issuing agent or by public agreement and have value independent of the face value of the underlying Bitcoins, says Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum, in a paper published in 2013. Colored coins ultimately failed due to a lack of confidence. Single points of failure would cause the weakest party in the joint agreement to disagree with the others. All it would take is one party to disagree about the perceived value of the non-fungible Bitcoin for the agreement to fall apart. Colored coins sowed the seed for modern NFTs. Since then, network users have tried to immortalize their unique properties on blockchains. Even though Bitcoin was not designed to store these one-of-a-kind properties, it, like most items, passed this story on to future blockchains. The Ethereum network is currently the blockchain that has excelled in facilitating these properties' trade and growth. What is NTFS? The NT file system, NTFS, also known as the New Technology File System, is a mechanism used by the Windows NT operating system to efficiently store, organize, and locate files on a hard disk. The NTFS file system was released in 1993 as part of the Windows NT 3.1 operating system. NTFS has the following advantages over the other related file systems, such as File Allocation Table, FAT, and High Performance File System, HPFS. Performance. NTFS allows file compression so your organization can enjoy increased storage space on a disk. Security access control. NTFS enables you to place permissions on files and folders so you can restrict access to mission-critical data. Reliability. NTFS focuses on the consistency of the file system so that in the event of a disaster, such as a power loss or system failure, you can quickly restore your data. Disk space utilization. In addition to file compression, NTFS also allows disk quotas. This feature enables businesses to have even more control over storage space. File system journaling. This means that you can easily keep a log of and audit the files added, modified, or deleted on a drive. This log is called the Master File Table, MFT. How NTFS works. When a hard disk is formatted, initialized, the total physical hard disk space is divided into partitions or significant divisions. The operating system keeps track of all the files stored by that operating system within each partition. Each file is stored on the hard disk in one or more clusters or disk spaces with a predetermined uniform size. Cluster sizes vary from 512 bytes to 64 kilobytes when using NTFS. For any given drive size, Windows NT recommends a default cluster size. For example, the default cluster size for a 4 gigabyte drive is 4 KB kilobytes. It's worth noting that clusters aren't divisible. On a 4 KB cluster scheme, also the smallest file takes up one cluster, and a 4.1 KB file takes up two clusters, or 8 kilobytes. The cluster size is chosen as a compromise between effective disk space use and the number of disks accesses needed to access a file. In general, the larger the hard disk, the larger the default cluster size in NTFS. So it's presumed that a device consumer would prefer increased performance, that is, fewer disk accesses, over any space inefficiency. When a file is generated with NTFS, it is recorded in a particular file called the Master File Table, MFT. The record is used to find any dispersed clusters in a register. NTFS looks for contiguous storage space where the whole file can be stored, all of it in its clusters. Along with its info, each file includes a summary of its attributes, its metadata. What is a non-fungible token, NFT? A non-fungible token, NFT, is a blockchain-based cryptographic token that represents a single asset. These can be entirely digital assets or tokenized copies of physical assets. Since NFTs aren't interchangeable, they may serve as evidence of legitimacy and ownership in the digital world. Individual units of an asset are interchangeable and virtually indisguisable from one another, which is referred to as fungibility. Fiat currencies, for example, are fungible so that each unit can be exchanged for any other equal individual unit. A $10 bill may be exchanged for any other $10 bill. It is critical for an asset that is intended to be used as a medium of exchange. Fungibility is a desirable property for currencies since it allows for free trade. There is no way to know the past of each particular unit potentially. However, for collectible pieces, this isn't a good quality to have. What if, instead of creating Bitcoin-like digital assets, we could add a unique identifier, a unit? As a result, each of them is distinct from the others, for instance, non-fungible. It is essentially what an NFT is. Why are non-fungible tokens necessary? NFTs have transformed digital interactions. Let's look through some of the advantages of this cryptocurrency. Easily transferable. NFTs are purchased and sold on particular marketplaces. The use of NFTs depends on their originality. Trustworthy. Blockchain technology practices non-fungible tokens. Therefore, you know that your NFT is accurate, since it's hard to create counterfeits with a decentralized and permanent record. Maintain ownership rights. This refers to an NFT's worth of decentralized platforms where no purchaser can change the data later. How do NFTs work? NFTs are created and issued using a variety of frameworks, ERC 721, a protocol for the issuance and exchange of non-fungible assets on the Ethereum blockchain. That is the most well-known of these. ERC 1155 is a more recent and improved model. It allows a single contract to include both fungible and non-fungible tokens, which opens up a world of possibilities. The standardization of NFT issuance allows for greater interoperability, which benefits users in the long run. It essentially means that specific assets can be easily shared between various applications. If you want to store and admire the elegance of your NFTs, Trust Wallet is the place to go. Your NFT has an address, just like other blockchain tokens. It's worth remembering that NFTs can't be duplicated or exchanged without the owner's permission, including the NFT issuer. NFTs can be exchanged on open exchanges like OpenSea. These marketplaces bring buyers and sellers together, and each token has its meaning. NFTs, by their very nature, are subject to price fluctuations in response to market supply and demand. But how can such items be considered valuable? Like any other valuable item, the value of a valuable object is assigned by people who think it is valuable. Esteem is, at its heart, a common belief. It makes no difference if it's a fiat currency, precious metals, or a vehicle. They all have value, and people believe they do. Why not digital collectibles? It is how any valuable object becomes valuable. What can NFTs be used? Decentralized applications, DApps, may use NFT to create one-of-a-kind digital objects and crypto collectibles. These tokens may be a collectible, an investment, or something else entirely. Gaming economies aren't a modern concept, and given that many online games already have their economies, using blockchain to tokenize gaming assets is only a step forward. Indeed, the use of NFTs can overcome or minimize the use of inflation that plagues many sports. Though virtual worlds are already thriving, the tokenization of real-world properties is another exciting application of NFTs. These NFTs can be used to describe fractions of real-world assets that can be stored and exchanged on a blockchain as tokens. It provides much-needed liquidity to many markets that would otherwise be devoid of it, including fine art, real estate, rare collectibles, and many others. The properties of NFTs can also support the field of digital identity. For several people worldwide, storing identity and ownership data on the blockchain improves privacy and data integrity. Simultaneously, friction in the global economy could be reduced by quick and trustless transfers of these properties. What is fungibility? In economics, a fungible commodity or good is when two different asset units can be traded at the exact cost. As a result, fungible assets or goods have exactly equal value in two equal segments. An ounce of gold, for example, is worth the same as every other ounce of gold. Some contend that the majority of cryptocurrencies are not fungible. On the surface, one Bitcoin appears to be worth the same as any other. Crypto coins, or fractions thereof, are now exchanged as fungible properties, with certain variations from one exchange to the next. When making a purchase, most cryptocurrency traders ignore the transaction history of each coin. Because of the open source blockchain's transparency, each coin, or fraction, has a unique, traceable, and verifiable transaction history that is openly visible. The transaction history may theoretically influence the value of a single coin or fraction thereof. What if the Bitcoin was taken from you? What if it had been used in drug trafficking or even terrorism in the past? Individuals and governing bodies could distinguish one coin from the next and assign a different value to each. What makes an investment a collectible? Antiques, art, autographs, baseball cards, clocks, coins, comic books, dolls, gems, pictures, rare books, rugs, stamps, vintage wine, writing utensils, and various other objects are all classified as collectibles. Even if collectors of fine art, antiques, and vintage wine would prefer not to be compared to those who purchase old playing cards or chamber pots, the fact remains that collectibles are all things with no intrinsic value. Wine is nothing more than a mashup of old grapes. A painting is nothing more than a canvas and some paint that would cost a few dollars at a store. Stamps are small squares of paper that are usually less than an inch in size. Some people consider some of these collectibles to be extremely valuable. Actual investments such as bonds, real estate, or small business that could be helping develop your money and generate income and profits. Since collectibles have no inherent value, they are subject to buyers' and sellers' whims and speculations. Of course, as history has shown, the prices of specific stocks, like real estate and businesses, are susceptible to whims and speculations of buyers and sellers, especially in the short term. Market values, on the other hand, return to fact and reasonable valuations over time. Markups are huge. The difference between the price a dealer pays for an item and the price he then sells it for is often about 100%. Where a dealer is a second or third middleman in the chain of purchase, the disparity may be much more significant. So, to break even, your purchase must at the very least double in value. And it's possible that a value won't double for another 10 to 20 years or more. Lots of other costs add up. If the markups weren't bad enough, some collectibles come with a slew of additional expenses. If you purchase valuable products, you need to get them appraised. You also have to pay for storage and protection. You pay some of these fees year after year of possession, unlike the markup. You can get stuck with a pig in a poke. You can overpay even more for a collectible if you are unaware of an item's flaws or inferiority. Worse, you may end up purchasing a forgery. Forgeries have deceived even respectable dealers. Your pride and joy can deteriorate over time. Damage from radiation, humidity, extreme heat or cold, and various other factors may all degrade the quality of your collectible. This form of damage or failure on your part is not covered by insurance. The returns stink. Even if you forget the high costs of purchasing, owning, and selling collectibles, investors' average returns barely keep pace with inflation. They're mainly inferior to the stock market, real estate, and small business investing. Return data that is objective and collectible is challenging to come by. Never ever trust info provided by dealers or the numerous collectible trade publications. The best returns for collectible investors come from predicting which pieces become famous years in advance. Do you think you'll be able to pull it off? You may be the most intelligent person on the planet, but most dealers have no idea what will be the next big thing in the next few decades. Dealers benefit from the spread or markup of the products they sell in the same way other retailers do. No one can foresee the public's and collectibles' erratic, eccentric preferences. There's nothing wrong with investing in collectibles. Don't kid yourself into believing they're saving, however. You can put much more money into these low-return, non-income producing investments. At their best as assets, collectibles enable the wealthy to purchase high-quality items that do not depreciate.